San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As tonight, the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup tonight for the Giants, right-hander Logan Webb, and for the Padres, right-hander German Marquez. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres continue this season-opening six-game homestand. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. You'll hear from first-year Giants manager Tony Vitello. You'll also hear from tonight's starting pitcher German Marquez as he gets ready to make his Padres debut. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Well, 4 games into 2026, the Padres are 1-3. The Giants also 1-3. And a reason why both teams are 1-3, their respective lineups have been quiet. The Giants have scored just 4 runs in 4 games. The Padres have scored 9 runs in 4 games. Those are the 2 lowest run totals so far in the majors this season. Padres have dropped 3 of their first 4 games for the first time since 2018. As we said, German Marquez makes his Padres debut on the mound here tonight. He spent the last 10 seasons in Colorado. Meanwhile, Logan Webb had a really rough start on opening night against the Yankees. He allowed 6 earned runs on 9 hits in 5 innings against the Yankees. Before we turn our full attention to tonight's game, let's take a look back at last night's series opener.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup last night, Walker Buehler making his Padres debut. Landon Roop on the mound for the Giants. Both right-handers pitching 2 scoreless innings to begin the night. In the top of the third, the Giants' Harrison Bader led off.
1-2 pitch. Hit in the air, deep to left field. Laureano is back, and the first home run of the season for the Giants belongs to Harrison Bader. It gives them their first lead of 2026. A solo shot to begin the third inning. It's 1-0.
Padres still trailed 1-0 going to the top of the 4th inning. There were 2 on base with 1 out against Buehler for Patrick Bailey.
1-0 pitch is flared into shallow left field. Laureano's charging. Chapman's on his way home, and Ramon will not have a play. Just kind of walks it back towards the infield as Chapman comes in to score. RBI single, Patrick Bailey, his first hit of the year, and the Giants lead it 2-0.
Casey Schmidt then followed with an RBI single. Giants had a 3-0 lead. Buehler went 4 innings in his Padres debut. He allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, walking 2, and striking out 3 on 72 pitches. Wandy Peralta pitched the scoreless 5th inning. David Morgan did the same in the 6th inning. But the problem, the Padres were just not doing much of anything against Landon Roop. He would go 6 shutout innings and allow just a couple of singles. That was it for the Padres offense against Roop. The Padres bullpen continued to keep the score at 3-0. Morgan pitched the scoreless top of the 7th inning. Ron Marinaccio came in, pitched 2 scoreless innings to get us to the bottom of the 9th inning. Padres, to that point, had just 2 singles in the game. 3-0 Padres down. There was a runner on and 2 men away for Jackson Merrill.
Pitch 7 about to be delivered. Walker deals. And that's hit in the air deep to right field. Lee is back at the wall. This one, gonna go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. Don't go anywhere just yet. A 1-run game in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 down. Jackson's first of the year.
But then Giants righty Ryan Walker got Xander Bogaerts to ground out to end the game, and that was it last night. Merrill making it a 1-run game. Final score yesterday, the Giants 3 and the Padres 2 as the Giants won their series opener. First win of the year for San Francisco. First managerial win for Tony Vitello at the helm for San Francisco. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40, let's check inside the Padres radio booth.
Let's take the pulse of today's game. Tony Gwynn Jr. joins us for a deep dive into today's matchup in our game preview. Brought to you by Amvutra. Ask your doctor about Amvutra and visit Amvutra.com.
All right, Tony, let's start with a look at right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Padres here tonight, making his Padres debut. To you, what did German show in spring training to earn him his opportunity here tonight? What will you be looking for from Marquez against the Giants?
Well, it's Jesse. First of all, I want to set expectations.
Jesse, I thought it would be you, but I heard Tony, and I just, it's showbiz. You got to go with what's presented in front of you. So, Jesse,
I don't want to disappoint the good people who heard Tony, and they're going to get excited to hear Tony, and then they're going to be disappointed that it's Jesse. Look, Marquez, he got a big league deal. So that gave him a leg up, certainly. When you think back to kind of, the first couple of weeks of spring training and all the names we all talked about in terms of the back end of this rotation. And then he went out there and he performed. He really did. He went, into most of those starts and came out of them looking very, very good, especially the last two. He was striking guys out left and right. And look, all the spring training caveats apply, but he struck out 17 dudes his last two times out, both times against Seattle. And he just looked good. The stuff looked crisp. That curveball, I don't know that it's actually a curveball. I'm starting to hear some things about it maybe not even being a curveball, but he calls it a curveball, so we'll call it a curveball. It's a nasty pitch. It moves a lot. It kind of breaks straight down. It gets a lot of swing and miss. We'll see. I get this sense, and we did see some of this in spring training. There might be days where it's really, really good. There might be days when it's a struggle, but he's one of these guys that, he's been there, done that a million times. He's never going to be bothered by the fact that he's got to go out there and face major league hitters. And I'm excited to see him, get his opportunity here in 2026.
Meanwhile, on the other side of this pitching matchup today, Logan Webb, one of the better right-handers in the National League, certainly. But you look at some of the numbers, Jesse. Webb has had a little bit of trouble against the Padres, a little up and down, I would say, last couple of seasons. And there are guys in this lineup that do have very good career numbers against Logan Webb. You pile that on top of the fact that he had a really rough start on opening night against the Yankees. It's going to be interesting to see what Logan Webb, the Padres, get tonight.
Yeah, first part first, right? Padres have had a really, really good game plan against Logan Webb the last couple of years. And, just as importantly, they've executed that game plan really, really well against Logan Webb the last couple of years. He is, make no mistake, one of the best pitchers in the National League, period. Like, full stop. He is. He's one of the best pitchers in the National League, and they have really done a very, very good job against him the last couple of years, trying to continue that this season. Now, he could still go out there, throw 8 shutout innings, as he did in one of his starts against the Padres a season ago. They won that game 1-0, by the way, but he's capable of doing that on any night. He gets the million ground balls. He can strike you out. He's got the filthy changeup. He'll get his double plays, all of those things that we talk about every single time that we see him. But they really have done a good job the last few years of, sort of limiting his ability to do damage to their bats. And so that's been fun. As for what happened against the Yankees on opening night, the big Netflix game, it's funny, but like, this is the fan in me maybe more than it is the broadcaster in me. It don't make me feel so great about tonight, right? Like, what are the odds that he goes out and gets, totally shelled in back-to-back appearances? You got to figure he's a little bit frustrated by what happened in that first start. 7 runs at home is not something that's going to happen very often for Logan Webb. It was his 5th straight opening day start for the Giants. That's Juan Marichal territory in terms of their franchise history. And he couldn't have been happy coming out of that. So, he's going to have a little bit of an extra chip on his shoulder here tonight. And maybe that'll be detrimental. We'll see. But, hard to imagine Logan Webb, coming out and having the kinds of trouble tonight that he had his first time out.
Finally, Jesse, let's touch on the Padres offense, and I preface this all by saying it is 4 games out of 162. However, it's been quiet the first 4 games. There are some things we've seen that are a little eerily similar to what some of the issues were last season. What do you make out of the Padres' offensive start?
Yeah, I think those are the 2 ways to look at it, right? You say, okay, it's only 4 games, and also you saw the best pitcher in baseball, Tarek Skubal. You saw one of the best pitchers in baseball, Framber Valdez. Last night, you saw Landon Roop, who looked like those guys, for goodness sake. I mean, he threw the ball extremely well yesterday. I turned to Tony during one of the commercials early in the game. I was like, that doesn't look like the Landon Roop we've seen the last couple of years. And certainly he threw the ball as well as anybody, last night. But as you said, this kind of, in a way, might feel like a continuation of last year. Remember, in 2024, Padres hit 190 home runs. But then last year, they hit 152. That was a 38 home run drop-off from 24 to 25, the third biggest drop-off in baseball last year. They went from being 8th in runs per game in 2024 to 18th in runs per game in 2025. So look, we say every season is its own little thing, and it very much is, but those are the kind of trends, you're sort of keeping an eye on here early this year.
Right.
And you go, okay, you want to make sure it doesn't start to go down that road again here in 2026. Now look, new manager, new hitting coach. You've got Laureano in there full time. You've got Fermin in there full time. Guys that weren't there at the beginning of the season a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got kind of a different looking lineup with Cronenworth leading off against right-handed pitching. You've added Andujar. You've added Castellanos. So it's not totally fair to lump all those guys in with that stuff from the last 2 years, but that is kind of, the reality of following a team day in, day out, the way we all do. We have to, kind of keep on top of that stuff, and we'll see. But, I certainly err on the side of it's been 4 days, and, I'll mention those numbers as I just did to you, but I don't think we're anywhere close to being able to say that, there's anything of a continuing trend yet, because it's not even April. It's still March 31st. So, that's kind of where I come down on that.
I'm right there with you. A long, long, long way to go. We'll see if the Padres offense can get it going here tonight. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. We'll work on the intro for next time. Get it squared away for your next pregame appearance. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 6:30.
No worries.
Okay, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen, plus a little bit later, hear from new Giants manager Tony Vitello. We also hear from tonight's starting pitcher, German Marquez. A lot to do on our pregame coverage as we walk you up towards first pitch for Game 2 of this 3-game set between the Padres and Giants. This is the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for tonight's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Padres and San Francisco Giants. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. On the mound for the Padres here tonight, right-hander German Marquez. We'll talk plenty more about Marquez coming up later. Obviously, longtime Colorado Rocky, spent 10 seasons in Colorado, signed a major league deal with the Padres in the early part of spring training. Showed up in Peoria, still had to earn his way onto the opening day roster. He did that, and here tonight makes his Padres debut. Before we hear from Craig Stammen, do want to give you a first look at the Padres lineup tonight because it is, I don't know if interesting is the right word. Maybe that is the right word, but there's a couple of guys out of the lineup. Jake Cronenworth at second base leading off. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Jackson Merrill in center field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts, the shortstop, batting fifth. Miguel Andujar at DH batting sixth. Gavin Sheets at first base batting seventh. Nick Castellanos in left field batting eighth. And Freddie Fermin is doing the catching and batting ninth. So again, I say interesting. The interesting part to me is that Ramon Laureano was out of the lineup today, everyday left fielder, and you should know that Nick Castellanos does have very good career numbers against Giants right-hander Logan Webb. So with all that in mind, and with German Marquez making his Padres debut here tonight, let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, German Marquez making his Padres in season debut tonight. What would you like to see out of German?
Yeah, exciting to make his debut. Another guy, just like Walker last night, who's pitched a lot against us, and it's good to have him on our side. Just looking for him to build off his last outing in spring training. That was really good. That's exactly what we were looking for, and if he can get that curveball going like he did that day, we'll be just fine.
Speaking of spring training, he was a guy like Walker that was in camp battling for a spot. What did he show you, the organization, to get him this opportunity here tonight?
Yeah, very similar things. You know, just a little bit of buy-in with Ruben and with the medical strength conditioning staff, wanting to or being open to new ideas and ways to make himself better and to, perfect his pitch mix. He showed that through spring. He had the one outing that wasn't great, but he was sick during that outing, so we'll give him a free pass. But all the other outings have been pretty good for him.
Logan Webb, tough right-hander on the other side, had a bit of a rough season debut by his standards, but certainly a history of success generally against a guy like him. What are the keys offensively tonight?
Yeah, great pitcher. One of the best pitchers in all of baseball, pitches a ton of innings every year. So, we're in for a fight tonight. We've got to be really, we got to take really good at bats. We got to be stingy in what pitches we're offering at and which pitches we're, trying to lay off of. So he'll be a good test for us tonight. Our offense hasn't quite clicked yet. So, another tough starting pitcher out there for us to battle.
Castellanos in left tonight, Laureano not in the lineup. Just a day off for Ramon?
Yep, just a day off, trying to get everybody, on the bench and playing time, try to find the groove of some of those guys, get them hot. And, it's tough for guys to, play here, there, and everywhere, but trying to get them a little bit more consistent ABs and see if we can get a couple more guys hot in the lineup.
With Castellanos in left, it's not a place he's played a ton before. He's played a lot of right field, obviously. What gives you guys confidence that he can go out there in a major league game in a place where he hasn't played a ton and do a nice job out there?
Yeah, I think he played a lot of there in spring training, so we felt comfortable with him there. Left field here at Petco is a little smaller than right field here, and obviously we got Toddy over in right. So I think left field's a good spot for him. He'll be fine, and more so his bat in the lineup, trying to get some quality ABs from him.
Sounds like this was largely a planned day for Laureano, but what was the way he's been swinging it? Did that give you any pause in terms of?
Yeah. Obviously, when a guy's probably swinging it, arguably the best in our lineup, it's tough to take somebody out of the lineup, but it's a lot of it's based on the pitcher we're facing and just giving them a day off, and then also getting other guys in, make them feel like they're part of the team too. I think it's not just the 9 guys that are out on the field, but it's the 13 position players and the 13 pitchers to collectively trying to win a game. And, the season's 162 games. We can't play Ramon all 162.
Looking at the pitching matchup, and Castellanos and Enard have numbers off Webb. Is that just kind of the thing you have to look at when you've got so many similar hitters, similar profiles?
Yeah, exactly. When you don't have the right left mix, you're just looking for better matchups, and those guys have past success. That doesn't always mean anything. The R&D department say it doesn't mean anything at all. Me personally, as a pitcher, I know there were certain hitters that just had my number, and maybe that's how those guys feel about facing Logan Webb tonight, and hopefully that's the case.
In regards to offense and slug, is there anything that you feel could help this team get going?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to swing it at good pitches, and part of that is the pitcher is going to dictate that a little bit too. If they're on their game, that's baseball. Baseball is a failure sport, especially as a hitter. The pitcher has the ball; he gets to kind of dictate the action. So we just got to be patient. We can't force things. We start forcing things as hitters, it gets worse. If we're patient, stick to our approach, eventually this offense is going to break through. We got too many good players.
In regards to ABS, I know you've talked about it, but specific to what you've seen from your catchers, what have you liked so far? Yeah,
they've done a great job. They've picked really good situations, and they've been pretty good on which pitches they've been challenging. So, last night I'd like to see us finish the game with no challenges left, or at least challenge a little bit more. But, that's being a little bit nitpicky. We did pretty good with it so far in the first 4 games.
To switch gears a little bit to David Morgan, 3 scoreless appearances to begin his season after what was such a good rookie campaign. Pretty impressive what he's done really throughout his early career, considering he's a guy that hasn't been pitching for all that long.
Yeah, he was picked up right where he left off, and actually probably been a little bit better here to begin this season. So we've got a lot of depth down there in the pen. You could say that about a lot of the guys that have pitched so far this season, and David's right there with them, and happy he's having success the way he is.
Yeah, I asked him during spring about what he wanted to accomplish this season. He said, to prove that I can do it again. As a former reliever yourself, can you speak to that mindset heading into a year as a young reliever? You have a good year. It's obviously a position that can be a little bit volatile, but the idea of proving to people that you can have 2 consecutive good years.
Yeah, that you make a great point. I think that's the hardest thing for a reliever, because it is such a volatile position, and there's a lot of luck involved, and you have one bad outing that changes all your numbers. But I think when you truly establish yourself, like David's talking about, like having back-to-back years or 3 years in a row where you're pretty much the same pitcher. The manager knows exactly what he's going to get out of you when he puts you in the game. That's exactly what we're looking for, and that's a great goal. I'm glad he said that, because that's what we're looking for as a team, as an organization, as a pitching staff.
You mentioned using all your challenges. You wanted Toddy to challenge that. I think it was a 2-1 pitch.
Yeah, I'm sure there were other pitches we could have challenged too, but just like thinking him specifically, one of our best hitters, arguably our best hitter in a 9th inning game, where it doesn't matter if you don't get to keep the challenge for tomorrow. Maybe it's something that we can have a conversation about. But there's also a piece of it, these guys taking it at bat and not wanting some external circumstances to be thinking about, like, should I challenge this pitch or not? It's more like, I'm going to get a hit. I got to figure out a way to get on base. And so, you're battling those 2 like personas in their head. You want clear mind, simple thoughts. But then, we're also asking them, like, no, you need to know the strike zone. No, you got to challenge too, and you got to do it immediately. So there's a give and a take with that.
It's all part of the coaching for this time of year, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're learning. We're still learning. We're not going to have it. 30 games and spring training wasn't enough to have this whole thing figured out. And it's a moving target the way it is.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig in our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, what's up? This is Nick Levitt. You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres radio network.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. German Marquez on the mound tonight for the Padres. Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. By the way, the final couple of questions there to Craig Stammen. They were about the ABS challenge system, and to me, it's been one of the more fascinating parts of the early portion of this 2026 baseball season. But more specifically, it was about in regards to a pitch in the 9th inning yesterday. Fernando Tatis Jr. had a called strike. It looked high. It was the pitch brought it to a 2-2 count. Had he challenged and won the challenge, would have gone to 3-1. The guy on deck, Jackson Merrill, then or I should say Merrill later in the inning hit a home run. So you're going to wonder if Tatis can get on base. Maybe that ties the game, the home run. The point being probably a spot where you want Fernando to challenge there. He did not, but 4 games into this ABS era, Padres, Fernando, everybody still learning exactly how to go about it game by game. Let's take you around the horn, give you some headlines from around the major leagues.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
A few headlines from around the major leagues. The Mariners and shortstop Colt Emerson, who is yet to play in the major leagues, agreed to an 8-year, $95 million extension, reportedly. According to Spotrac, it's the largest contract in MLB history for a player with 0 service time. The deal the Mariners announcing was completed Tuesday afternoon. Begins this season and goes through 2033 with a club option in 2034. Emerson is only 20 years old. He'll remain at AAA Tacoma, but he was added to the Mariners' 40-man roster because of this new contract. The Mets have hired 6-time Major League All-Star J.D. Martinez as a special assistant to baseball operations. Martinez, now 38 years old, has not formally announced his retirement, but he has not played since the 2024 season when he appeared in 120 games for the Mets. So at least for now, he is in the front office as a special assistant. The Cubs outfielder Seiya Suzuki is close to returning from a knee injury he suffered during the World Baseball Classic. He's eligible to come off the IL this weekend. Sounds like he'll probably go to double or AAA to get some at-bats before being activated. And finally, a few headlines from the out-of-town scoreboard tonight, and we will have a full look at the scoreboard coming up later. Andrew Painter making his major league debut 10 days before his 23rd birthday. He is the number 26 overall prospect in baseball. Phillies right-hander, missed all of 2023, most of 2024 due to Tommy John surgery. Very highly touted young right-hander making his major league debut today. In Milwaukee, the Rays' Shane McClanahan toes a major league mound for the first time in nearly 1,000 days. He missed all of 2024 with Tommy John surgery, missed all of 2025 with a tricep injury. So McClanahan back on the mound here today. And again, we'll have a look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. But those are some headlines as we take you around the horn. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres starting pitcher making his Padres debut here tonight, German Marquez. Plus, a couple of thoughts from Giants manager Tony Vitello on his starting pitcher, Logan Webb. Our keys to the game, what to watch for in tonight's game, and more. First pitch coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. Padres baseball coming up here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. First pitch at 6:40. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. It is a cloudy evening here in downtown San Diego. So if you're on the way to the game, if you haven't left home yet, maybe you're in the car, I would suggest bringing a jacket, a sweatshirt. It's a little chilly here tonight. It's been cloudy really all afternoon and into the early evening. So just a little tip for you if you're coming to the ball game here tonight. A lot to do on our pregame coverage. We'll hear from tonight's starting pitcher, German Marquez, in just a moment. We'll also hear from new Giants manager Tony Vitello. A few thoughts on his starting pitcher tonight, Logan Webb. But first, a few injury updates to get to from a Padres standpoint. Let's get to it.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, as we've said for the last handful of days, Padres have a lot of guys on the IL here at the start of the season, but a lot of guys that are making progress towards a return. Let's begin with Griffin Canning, the right-hander who signed with the Padres in the offseason. Tore his Achilles with the Mets last summer. He continues to work his way back. He will start for AA San Antonio on a rehab assignment on Saturday as he takes another step towards returning to the major leagues. Jason Adam will throw a simulated game. He did that today, I believe, before making back-to-back rehab appearances with AA San Antonio on Friday and Saturday. So keep an eye on that as Jason Adam gets very close to returning. Joe Musgrove saying last week that he's resumed playing catch. Still not a definitive timeline on when he will return from the IL. Sungmoon Song, Padres infielder, has gone 3 for 7 with a couple of RBIs through 2 rehab games with AAA El Paso. And Matt Waldron, we've said this for a few days now, he threw 3 scoreless innings in a rehab start with AAA El Paso on Friday, giving up 2 hits and striking out 3. And that's a look at the updates on some of the Padres guys on the IL. You would think that Jason Adam will come off the IL pretty much when he's eligible to, I'd imagine. We'll see what the deal is with Sungmoon Song. Certainly with Yuki Matsui, no real update on him right now, but we continue to keep you posted on what's going on with the guys on the IL for the Padres. Well, right-hander Logan Webb making the start today for the San Francisco Giants. Webb had a tough start in his season debut against the Yankees on opening night in San Francisco. We'll talk a little bit more about Webb and our keys to the game, our pitching preview, but it was a very, very tough start for a talented right-hander in Logan Webb. Here was new Giants manager Tony Vitello earlier today. I asked him a couple of questions about Webb.
I know Logan Webb's first start wasn't what he wanted, what I would assume the team wanted, but what are you looking for tonight from Logan Webb?
I think for his resiliency and competitiveness to show up, and again, the outcome doesn't necessarily tell that whole story. I think it's how a guy's demeanor is, how he is on the mound, and just a really set of frustrating circumstances that followed a really emotional buildup to a game, and it's coming off a really emotional WBC, too, that he pitched in, so I don't think that affected him great physically, but draining mentally, I do think it led into everything. And right now you can just see all eyes are set on when's the next time I can get this ball in my hand. So I hope we can play good defense behind him. I hope he catches a break or two because he deserves it. And that's a part of playing a game when you've got such talented athletes on the field. And then we're still finding ourselves offensively. If we can just put together competitive at-bats, it'll make for a better setup for him. And he's not going to throw 9 innings, and don't expect or need him to dominate, but really excited to just see that what makes him Logan Webb, see that in full action.
With this Padres lineup in particular, it's a lineup with a lot of veterans, a lot of talent, maybe a couple of future Hall of Famers. What stands out to you about navigating through this lineup?
I think there's some balance in there that you don't initially see with the right-left deal that maybe you've seen in other lineups, and actually the Yankees were quite left-handed if they wanted to be, and then would switch it over. But there is balance in there because you got some athletes who can do a variety of things, whether it's, Tatis obviously can run the ball out of the park, but he's got tremendous speed. And then you've got some lefties situated in there that mix the lineup up just enough. So it is a dynamic lineup. And I know for Roop to do what he did last night was pretty impressive because these guys have been able to kind of get in a comfort zone at home, they got their first win, which is a sense of relief for everybody. So it'll be a daunting task for Webby and whoever comes out of the pen tonight.
That was Giants manager Tony Vitello earlier today here on the Padres Radio Network. We'll see how Logan Webb does against the Padres lineup here tonight. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Right now, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Couple of finals already tonight. The Phillies beat the Nationals 3-2. We mentioned Andrew Painter, young right-hander, making his major league debut. He picked up a win here tonight, struck out 8 in 5 1/3 innings in a really, really good major league debut. Kyle Schwarber, home run in that game for the Phillies as well. Rangers beat the Orioles 8-5 in Baltimore today. Games going on right now. Marlins 9, White Sox 2 in Miami in the 9th inning. Pirates lead the Reds 6-3 in Cincinnati in the 8th. Blue Jays 2, Rockies 1 in the 7th inning in Toronto. A's leading the Braves 5-2 in Atlanta in the 7th inning. Angels and the Cubs are scoreless in the 6th inning in Chicago. Rays and the Brewers in Milwaukee. Brewers 3, Rays 2 in the 6th inning. Cardinals lead the Mets 2-0 in St. Louis in the 6th. The Astros lead the Red Sox 3-0 in Houston in the 5th. Games yet to begin aside from this one. Diamondbacks hosting the Tigers at 6:40. Yankees and the Mariners at 6:40 in Seattle. Guardians and the Dodgers in L.A. at 7:10. We'll have much more on all those games coming up later in our post-game coverage. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and Giants. Let's take a look at our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game on the Padres Radio Network.
Key number 1. Hey, Pods, let's get the bats going. Padres have scored just 9 runs in 4 games so far this season. That is the second lowest total in the majors so far. The only team that has scored fewer runs, the team on the other side of the diamond tonight, the Giants. They have scored 4 runs in 4 games. And the Padres also aren't slugging early this season. Remember, the Padres ranked 28th in home runs last season. 12 home runs so far in 4 games. That's the 3rd fewest by any major league team so far. Let me say, it is very, very, very early, but these are the numbers through 4 games. Padres got to get this offense going. That's key number 1. Key number 2, don't let the bottom of the Giants lineup do damage. The 7, 8, 9 hitters in the Giants lineup last night each provided an RBI yesterday. Number 7 hitter Harrison Bader, he hit a home run. Number 8 hitter Patrick Bailey, he had an RBI base hit. Same thing for Casey Schmidt out of the number 9 spot. And oh, by the way, Bailey and Schmidt both did not have a hit coming into yesterday. Don't let the bottom third of this lineup do that kind of damage again. That's key number 2. Key number 3, win the lefty matchups against Logan Webb. Gavin Sheets is 7 for 14 with 3 doubles in his career against Logan Webb. Jackson Merrill is 9 for 13 with 3 doubles in his career against Webb. Merrill hit the 2-run homer yesterday. Sheets has had a rough start to the year. He's 0 for 10 to begin the season. But again, those 2 guys, the lefties, Sheets and Merrill, very good career numbers against the tough right-hander in Logan Webb. Those 2 guys, they got to do some stuff tonight. That's key number 3. Key number 4, we talked about the bottom third of the Giants lineup. How about some of the stars towards the top? Matt Chapman and Willie Adames both have good career numbers against German Marquez. Chapman is 6 for 15 against him. Adames is 4 for 11. And both of those guys have 3 career home runs each against Marquez. So how Marquez does against Adames leading off, against Chapman batting 5th, that is something to watch here tonight. That's a key for German Marquez. And that's a look at our keys to tonight's game. When we come back, we dive into one more guy to watch here tonight for the Padres. We take a deeper dive into tonight's starting pitching matchup between Marquez and Webb, and we hear from German Marquez ahead of his Padres debut. First pitch coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. SoCal, Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building. First pitch at 6:40. Let's tell you what to watch for here tonight.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for tonight? Nick Castellanos getting a start in left field and batting 8th against Logan Webb. Castellanos has only made 11 starts in left field in his career. He's only appeared in 23 games there ever. Of course, he played mostly right field the last 7-8 years, so he's very accustomed to the outfield, but really not left field in particular. So what explains why the Padres have him out there tonight? Well, part of the reason, Nick is 4 for 8 with a home run in his career against tonight's Giants starter, Logan Webb. So keep an eye on Castellanos. Good career numbers against Webb and playing left field, a place he is not all that familiar with. That's what to watch for here tonight. German Marquez making his Padres debut on the mound. Here was German, the longtime Rocky, talking about all his experience at Petco Park.
I've been throwing it for a lot of years here, so being here in a team that is a competitor, and it feels good. And then I'm not gonna be ready, to be outside every 5 days.
What are you hoping to establish in your first start as a Padre?
First of all, I just want to be healthy all year, and I'm gonna give my best, everything that I'm out there.
Are you excited? Are you nervous? First new start in a new uniform. How do you feel about it?
I'm just excited. I'm not going to compete outside. And, like I said, I'm going to give my best.
How beneficial will it be for you to not have most of your home games at Coors Field? The difficulty that pitchers might have there.
Yeah, there is, there's a little, it's a little different, between Coors Field and, being away, sea level. It's a lot of different, to be pitching in the sea level, and I think it's gonna help me.
And what did Buddy Black tell you about this opportunity with the Padres and why you'd be a good fit?
Yeah, I was working. I was talking to Buddy in off season a lot, and he was here a lot of years, and he knows a lot of people here. He knows the stuff that he's gonna help me out.
That was German Marquez before his Padres debut here tonight. Marquez, who spent his first 10 major league seasons with the Rockies, a 6.70 ERA and 26 starts last year in Colorado. Meanwhile, Logan Webb making the start for the Giants. His first start of the season against the Yankees did not go particularly well. 5 innings, 6 earned runs given up on 9 hits. He struck out 7, walked 1, a career 3.15 ERA against the Padres, a career 4.38 ERA in 7 starts here at Petco Park. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Padres enter 1-3 after losing last night's series opener. Giants also enter at 1-3 after winning last night's series opener. When we come back, Jesse Ackler, Tony Gwynn Jr., they are ready to go inside the Padres broadcast booth. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.